So on today's podcast, we're going to interview Ruben and Amil and just kind of talk about your Airbnb and kind of the vision that God gave you for the last couple years and what that looks like.
Yeah.
So why don't you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves and how long you've been attending Collister for those that don't know you?
My name's Ruben, and I've been coming here almost 5 years.
My name's Amil. When you're hungry, you want to eat a meal. That's what I tell people. I do. I tell people that. I actually just met someone today. I told them that. Been going to True Hope for 5 years. The only church that I checked out, I live 2 minutes away from here, and I'm almost always late.
Love it.
Typical.
So you guys moved here how many years ago?
5.
5 years
Going on
ago?
5.
Yep.
It was actually February, my very first time here in Boise. I knew that I was going to move to Boise even before stepping a foot in Idaho.
Very cool.
I knew I was going to move here.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your house. So when you guys moved here, the house you bought, tell me a little bit about your vision when you bought it and like what.
I want to start. So the same time, February, when I was here, so that would have been 5 years now. Working with a realtor, she took me to Star, Meridian. I'm like, nah, because I really wanted to move to Boise. I wanted to be where the river flows. And I'm like, if I'm going to leave SoCal, I'm not going to go settle for anything else but Boise. So my heart was really set on Boise. And as I had reached out to a brother who had met at church in SoCal, and I recalled him living here in Boise, I reached out to him. I go, hey, I'm going to be going to Boise. I'm going to be going for job interviews and looking at houses. What church would you recommend? And back then, he was coming here. So he said, well, I go to True Hope. And I go, well, that's where I'm going to go. My Airbnb that I got was just down here on State, right, within the Veterans Memorial Park neighborhood. Anyway, so came to True Hope, and then as I was heading back to the Airbnb, I made a wrong turn. No, I think I was intentionally trying to go to the Greenbelt, and I turned on Willow Lane. And then it was a dead end. And then Ruben said, hey, this is a nice park. So I parked the car, I started walking, and I started praying that the Lord would provide a house for me in this specific street.
Wow.
I sure did. I prayed. And then so went home and started looking at houses even more. And we were going to put a bid on this specific house with my realtor. And I told the realtor, we're not going to put a bid on that house because the house just popped up on Willow Lane. Yep. And then I had an FHA. And turns out that there were 4 additional offers for this house. I was FHA, 2 conventional loan offers, 2 cash offers. And I got the house.
Wow.
The realtor said, write a letter. And I wrote a letter. I got out of my car, prayed for the Lord to provide the house for me on your street, and the Lord provided the house.
What a story.
What a story indeed.
Only God gets the glory, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Ruben.
I'm pretty much in the same boat. I walked down the street when we made the turn. I liked it. I liked the view. I really fell in love with True Hope. First time I came, I really enjoyed how Matt knows you personally and intentionally makes the effort to get to know you and remember your name, which I am very horrible with remembering names. So when he knew my name and actually was intentional in getting to know me, I was like, okay, cool. I can see myself coming here. And the Airbnb that we stayed in back in February when it came to do the searches wasn't so great, but it was local and it was right across from Albertsons and Chase right here on State. I think it's some kind of I think not Samaritan's house, but the right place right next to it, and it's right across from Veterans Park. And it was like, okay, cool. I can see what the layout is, or how much attention to detail people do with their Airbnbs. So I was like, all right, I don't have to worry about the yard because the yard wasn't all the greatest. But me being a Californian and the yard being part of my house, I was like, well, no, my yard has to be spot on. So, as Amil mentioned, we looked and looked and looked, and the Willow Street came up. And I really was excited because they had converted the garage into a studio. And when I saw the pictures, it was like a fully independent studio, had a walk-in closet, its own shower, its own jet tub, and a kitchenette or a laundry room. It's like, okay, cool. Right off the bat, I'm like, I'm going to paint the whole dang house. I'm going to convert this laundry room into a kitchenette because it had a sink area. And so, money, money, money. I started looking on Airbnbs and seeing what the average money would have been. And it's like, okay, cool. I could see the potential. And then moving here, the plan came totally different. It was changed upside down, and I enjoyed it. I just ran with the punches.
Well, and one of the things that I love is I remember when you guys first started attending and you talked about your home and how you wanted to create a space where people could come in. And I remember you guys had sketches of like how you wanted to blow out the front window and make it so that
Still do.
it was like, well, I know, just like anyone who has a home, right?
Yeah.
It takes longer than you planned, always. But I loved your guys' heart about your home wasn't just for you to enjoy, but it was to create a space for others to be welcoming. And so.
Yeah, my previous house in SoCal, I called it a community house. I actually would never lock the door. We would have friends stopping by at 10 o'clock, whether
2 o'clock.
Whether they're drugged up, just not feeling good, maybe even feeling suicidal. And then so we would have friends just come by, and then they'll just need a place to crash, sleep. And so my thought process with the house here would be to have that same spirit and have it be kind of like a community house. So I've always been intentional with making sure that it's hospitable, and I think that also could lend itself to be hospitable to a tenant, or again, back then, kind of like an Airbnb guest, and have some kind of discussion with them to where it's like, okay, well, you're here for the weekend, you need to go to church, blah, blah, blah. So I was excited to see where that would lead, an extension of what I had previously established in Southern California.
Yeah, and so with your Airbnb, you guys had a plan, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when did that plan start to change? How long after you set up your Airbnb, you picked out all the stuff, right?
I actually called it my baby. Because like when you kind of conceive something, and I'm a very creative guy, so I had like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So I poured my heart, sweat, and blood into converting this Airbnb because I was proud of it. And yes, it's going to be a good opportunity to make an income, but it was just an extension of being hospitable. Mm-hmm. So I was really excited to accommodate people. But then after opening it up and seeing the amount of flow, traffic, in order for it to be sustainable, it has to have 80% accommodation, and it was barely 25%, to where it didn't make sense to continue having it be an Airbnb. But that was still the process, or the thought process at that time, until the situation presented itself.
I mean, and to the fact, it never was an Airbnb from day one.
It's never been.
it literally, as soon as we set it up and everything was completed and ready for a tenant,
there was never an Airbnb.
There was an opportunity for a rental tenant to move in, like ASAP. and we had the family come in. They checked it out, and it went from a family staying a couple of months, maybe to get on their feet, to a family that stayed over a year.
So what ended up
13, 15 months.
So what ended up happening was part of our small community group. We have a family who have interacted with a family because both boys were going to the same school. And it turns out, as the family from our small community group interacted with them, that they were going to be otherwise homeless. And then so the family from our small community group here at True Hope approached us and, hey, would you be open to actually making your Airbnb available for a family who would otherwise be homeless? And I was like, okay, cool. But I didn't know the gravity of their situation and also the size of the family.
Yeah.
My intent for the Airbnb was to have maybe a couple, like 2 adults, and at the max 2 adults and a toddler.
Right. Because
Like-
this is a studio.
It's a
It's a
studio.
1-bedroom studio.
Yeah,
So that everybody's.
nothing else. Like that is the extent of what it would accommodate. Not even a child. It would have to be a toddler, because that's really is kind of like what
Right.
it's set up for. And then so lo and behold, to come across a family of 5. To the extent like I actually had to talk the mom out. So we were introduced, and then I go, okay, well, let's have the mom come. She toured, and she had mentioned that their living situation right now is so bad because it's drug infested. There's like some drug dealings
Holes in the
going on,
walls.
holes in the walls,
Yeah.
and they've been staying in this 1-room motel, and it's just not working out. And I had a discussion with her. Okay, what is the extent of your stay? She said 3 months max. We just need to get on our feet. And as much as I was wanting to discourage the situation, because I did not feel like it was a conducive living environment for them, given that they have a family of 5, mom was just wanting a place that was safe.
I mean, and then for me, when we first came here, I worked from home, so I had a lot of free time to help set up and, I guess, decorate would be the right word to use. I bought furniture that would accommodate a studio apartment. So I got a love seat that converts into a bed. I got a TV mounted on the wall, everything, so that when I took pictures for the Airbnb, it's like, oh, they have an additional bedding or sleeping area. They have a TV with the Fire Stick and this and that and all these options. And when it went from Airbnb to a rental, it's like, well, let me store all these decorations or all these things I helped set up the room for another time to see whatever might be needed. And luckily, when we're in between tenants, we're able to swap things out if needed to make it still workable.
So now, as we fast forward to them living there, we had an opportunity, our small community group, to actually minister to the family. They were in dire need of financial support.
Yeah.
Not only was it the small community group, but also the church. We were able to direct them to Pastor Matt, and the church was able to help them with their rent and even moving and all of those life situations. So much so that we also celebrated the mom's birthday. We celebrated the little girl's birthday. We went river rafting, which is a story in itself that is worth telling another time, but not right now.
I have the scars to prove it.
Yeah, so it became an opportunity for the church to walk alongside a family who was struggling with stability and resources.
Well, and I love the picture, right? It's we talk about church all the time, but this is a true example of what the church looks like, serving together, right? It wasn't just you guys who had an Airbnb. It was really a collection of people, your missional community, and the broader church that came alongside this family in a beautiful way. I'm not saying it was easy.
No.
Yeah,
But it was great. I
Right.
really enjoyed the outcome, the result, that William still comes to our neighborhood and goes hanging out with the kids from our neighborhood. Yeah. And sometimes the family would come and visit our missional community family, and it just still lives life with each other, even though we're not in the same neighborhood, even though we're not, all in the same circumstances, and things might have changed within that family. That family, certain parts of the family reaches out and is still connected.
I think with any growing, there's pains through that process. So it was a stretch for me to be able to change my initial conception or thought process of what I thought it was going to be, and it's going to be this glamorous Airbnb thing, to where now it's becoming a place where strangers are coming and are doing life, to where I just had to be open to the idea of, you know what, if I'm wanting my house to be available for the Lord's using, however or whatever situations need to happen within that house, I just need to trust that the Lord is doing what he needs to do. And sometimes it's not even the superficial stuff, the messy, gritty stuff that we see that we might think is actually the work process. It might be the individual's lives, whether it's mom, dad, or the kids, or maybe them even seeing what church really looks like as the church is ministering to them. Beyond all the mess, sometimes we just need to look beyond that and maybe just celebrate all the changes that's going on.
So how many individuals or people have you hosted?
Yeah. So we've had a family of 5.
Okay.
We had a refugee. And then we had a lady who was in the midst of kind of like a transitional professional-wise. And then our current tenant is a worship leader, and he has now stepped into a relationship, and then so he's moving out because he's going to be getting a house or living in a house. So 4 living situations within a 5 years' time.
Very cool.
Very cool indeed.
Yeah.
Very.
So what kind of things was there anything that you had to grieve or surrender when making this transition from it being strictly Airbnb short term to like opening it up to more ministry opportunities?
Well, I think for me, the biggest one was the mindset. Okay, I'm having the mindset of an Airbnb and changing that from a mindset of a rental and a place to minister, a place to live life with people. So as each tenant was different, each opportunity was different to live life with them. I was intentional with our refugee to hang out, to cook. She was an avid cooker and loved her pressure cookers, which I've never used a pressure cooker in my life. But it was just having that opportunity and the availability for her to have company was the witnessing tool. She would, after that, be intentionally seeking out times to hang out with the 2 of us, to cook dinner together. She'd make Afghani food, and I would make my attempt of Mexican food, and to see where she would go, I would help her to go get groceries. We'd go to the Afghani store and get all this stuff, and she was in love with lamb, which is a different meat in its own.
Oh, my favorite.
Is it?
Oh,
I love Afghani food. Love it.
well,
I love the smell of it. I love chicken.
the textures were definitely different, and the rice was amazing.
I love the spices,
loved the rices.
the herbs, the fresh herbs.
But it was cool. Each time we had a tenant was a new opportunity. Our current opportunity with the worship leader, we've been friends for 2 decades plus.
Who are you talking about?
The current tenant.
Okay.
His best, our mutual friend is his best friend, and he was the best man at his wedding. And so we've known him for a while. He's to be able to hear him practice his music, his songs he's going to sing for that week when he's scheduled on is amazing. Come the weekend, come Friday, Saturday, all I'm hearing is worship music. I'm hearing him play the drums. I'm hearing him play the guitar or the keyboards. I am hearing him sing, and it's not even the words. It's just the music. You know, you have a full week work, and sometimes things go crazy, or you're crazy, and just to be able to be still and listen to it is awesome. I get stressed out quite a bit, and just that kind of music is calming. And I tell him, thank you for the music and all that you do. And he tells me, well, if the noise gets too loud, just let me know. And I go, no, it'll always be a joyful noise to the Lord. So don't stop. Don't go lower. Don't turn it down. Don't do anything different. Turn it up. I love it.
So to answer your question, for me, it wasn't a grieving process. I guess it was just accepting reality. I mean, we go into this idea that, okay, it's going to be glamorous, whatever that life thing that we had envisioned. And it becomes messy, and it becomes somewhat intrusive, and people are in your lives, and it makes you realize that being selfless can just get in selfish. Being selfish can get in the way. So what I had to surrender was just being open, and that means just like if I was open to my community back in California, I should also be open to the community that I have yet to know. So that was the process for me. It's like, okay, I'm just now going to surrender whatever opportunities I have or will have with people who I have yet to meet, whether it's going to be a tenant who's going to be here for 2 months, 6 months, a year, and be able to, bless them with whatever it is that the Lord's doing through them and maybe through me, as the work of the Holy Spirit works in one accord.
So what would you guys say that you have learned over the past couple years through this process about God?
God is sovereign. With our Afghani tenant, there was a lady who is our neighbor, and she is really intentional with meeting people. Mm-hmm. So she had met this one Afghani refugee. She brought it to my attention. She goes, "Hey, I have a perfect tenant for you." And then so I just like, okay, cool. However that pans out. And then as I had back then been opening up the idea of housing refugees, I then made myself available, including to you, mm-hmm. to where a case manager reached out to me, and she goes, "I have a perfect tenant for you."
The same week.
And then so she's going to swing by. I go, let her swing by. So it turns out that the same refugee that the case manager brought was the same lady that this other lady from had mentioned. And then so when I then met my Christian sister, and I had mentioned to her that I have now a tenant, and then we ended up saying the same name. We're like, what the heck? So God knows what he's doing, and we miss out on the opportunity to be a part of that when we don't avail ourselves. So for me, that's what I'm learning. I mean, obviously, it's something that I should already know, but to really see it come into fruition, even though surprising, it is just revealing that he knows what's best.
I think for me, he puts people in our paths for reasons. Whether those reasons are for us personally or for the people that come in our life, he knows. And as weird as it sounds, well, not weird, but we say our thing is because of Jesus you matter.
Yeah.
And it's true. Every person that comes in our life, whether as a tenant, a friend, whatever, an acquaintance, it's because they matter, because we matter. And sometimes we can be for our good or for their good or for mutual good, but there's always a reason why things happen. And you have to be open, faithful, and willing to do what he says because it's for our good.
And I just love how you guys are very open-handed with your home, with your lifestyle, your time, your service.
And we have even yet to talk about what's actually now happening with the house.
Well, I would love to hear.
I mean, obviously now that our initial small community group has become big, and I had really prayed from the get-go that the house would be used for the Lord, God's people, here. And now I think it has now come into fruition that we have now multiplied our big, small community group to where now we actually house a Wednesday night meeting on a weekly meeting. And so that is another extension of what I was hoping would happen. And again, it's just on the Lord's timing. So he continues to use the house for whatever purpose that he wills. Yeah, so we're now going on our second month with our small community group. It's a very tight, intimate setting. So our dinner table is in the living room.
Hey.
And it's so cool though, yeah. And then Ruben's dogs, they're kind of like all over the place.
Why
and
my dogs?
It's just become an extended family.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now we're actually even looking forward to serving the community also, as we're partnering with two ladies who are also ministering to their
apartment complex.
Apartment complex. Yeah, we're looking forward to do that kind of like on a quarterly basis. We just did our first fun event last Friday, so that's good. And it seems like everyone else is excited to jump on board with that.
And it was such a blessing. When we first came here and we got connected with our community group on Wednesdays, I loved it. I love it. We were together ever since the community group started. And the crazy part is the majority of all of us were from California, literally, or passed through or were in California at one point in their life. And so that made it comfortable, if that makes any sense. But when we branched out, before we branched out, we had the two ladies that are from their apartment complex join us. And I think that was the last thing that needed to be done before the split.
Multiply.
The multiply.
It's positive.
The multiply. Because I don't know if that encouraged them or motivated them to do their community group in their apartment complex. And when we did their fun night on Friday, it was so cool to see how intentional they are to do the work. And these are two ladies that live not together, but literally next door to each
neighbors,
other.
Yeah.
And like, oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, I'm going to do that. And we're going to do this. They had posts like flyers on the walls. Hey, we're going to do a community thing on Friday or prayer or a fun night. Come over. Food's going to be provided. And these ladies were very intentional in planning this Friday night hangout. Okay, what are you guys going to bring? What are we going to do? This is where we're going to be at. I want to make sure that we as a group provide the food and the stuff, and that way whoever wanted to show up showed up. So we had two Bobs, and a couple other ladies. I don't remember their names, and quite a few kids. And we were able to have kids take 2 pizzas home, a bunch of leftover, and a lot of snacks. But to see their fire for the Lord in this apartment complex was so cool. It's like, oh, and they were like, hey, Ruben, look. There's an outside patio, and we can do like a summer night and do hot dogs and hamburgers, and their outdoor deck will be way better than my outdoor deck, aka park, is ever going to be, because you already have a seating, you have grass, you have a barbecue grill and everything, so all you got to do is just show up. So to see all that and to have the community group in my house like I had it in California is a blessing for me. Not to say that it's not easy, because it's a lot of work, setting up, cleaning up, putting things away and all that. But to see them have a joyful face coming in the house, to hear the joyful noise as we all eat and talk about whose food tasted bad or tasted good and what, add-ons or changes we can do to it, and to just live life together means the world for me.
Yeah. I think one of the things that stands out is we use the phrase a lot, community is made and unfound. And I think that you guys are a living example of that. Like, you came here with a vision of what you had experienced and then what it would look like to make that here. And it's really cool to see. And letting your house size or never stood in the way.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a small house, and I know that keeps a lot of people from living out waiting for the next thing or the next to actually live it out. And so I think my last question is what would you tell people who are unsure about or they're not sure what their next step is or how to listen to know if it's God calling them to open up their home or to just follow him? What advice would you give somebody?
God guides us oftentimes just one more step. And a lot of us want to know the ultimate plan. And he's going to give us glimpses of his revealed plan. And sometimes those revealed plan is just the next step. It's not like 10 steps from now. When he called Abraham, he said, go to the place where I will take you or lead you. He didn't say, okay, well, I'm going to take you here. He's pretty much like saying, okay, just go, and then I'll show you as you go. For those who are having a hard time trying to decipher if this is what God wants me to do, I say just take a step. And as you're allowing the Holy Spirit to guide you, you're either then going to sense him telling you, slow down, go, or wait. And in the midst of that, you're still going to depend on the Lord. I don't think it's necessarily wrong to just test things out, because you would not know otherwise if you're heading in the right direction. So for me, I've been that person who is not afraid to test things out. And as I'm just leaning on the Lord for guidance and strength. I actually don't like the expression, God closes doors and he opens another door. I've had situations where the Lord gave me the strength to knock down a closed door.
Like praying for a house on a certain street.
Yeah, and then this is another story, another time. I almost lost my house in California, and I fought it because the Lord did not tell me that it's your house to give away. So the Lord gave me the strength to knock down a closed door of my house, actually, me losing that house. Anyway, so for me, I've learned that there are times where the Lord is opening a door for you to walk through, yes. There's also going to be a time where the door is going to be closed, and it's so that you can lean on the Lord for strength to knock that door down. It's not me who've knocked the door down. It's just me relying on the Lord to knock this door down. And then so that is part of the struggle that we contend with. Like, what do I do at this moment? Just take the next step, try it out, ask for guidance, ask for wisdom. One of the things that I've been hearing the most of is the best thing that anyone can ask for as a Christian, besides strength, fame, whatever it may be, is wisdom. That's the best thing that anyone can ask for. So in the midst of contending with the next step, just ask the Lord for wisdom and sensitivity on that wisdom that He's given you.
I think I heard a quote today on the radio saying, faith isn't easy because if it was, everyone would have it. Which I really enjoyed. But my add-on would, it's not easy. Faith is not easy, but it's fruitful. It's joyful. It's long-suffering. It's amazing. It's communal. It's intentional. It's what life should be like. With faith, everything is obtainable. Everything is possible. Nothing is impossible. And it's full of transparency. It's full of crying, laughing, hard times, good times. And it's in all that time combined that God shows up and shows out. And you just have to be open to be part of it. My favorite thing is being in the background and just seeing life live. And me being blessed to be part of it with whoever He puts in my life because of whatever reason that may be, whether me or them or together. I wouldn't change a bit of it. And being in this church, that's pretty much what we're all about. Community, living life, walking alongside people, all that. It's being in the trenches, being in the good times, the bad times, just being real. And knowing that, I'm going to say our catchphrase, because of Jesus, you matter. And I love it, because I do. And we all do.
Yeah. Well, and I think what we were talking about before we started recording was I love just your guys' willingness to listen to the Spirit and then follow. Obedience, I think, if you grew up in the church, sometimes gets a bad rep, but really following Jesus is putting to practice the faith and just practicing what it looks like to live in faith and in connection with God. And the outcomes are His. I'm not saying that every Airbnb rental, right? Like person that comes in is going to be easy, right? The process isn't easy, but the journey with God through it, He gets all the glory. And I love that your missional community is now meeting at your guys' house, and that was a step of faith. And yeah, thank you guys. Is there anything you would want to add that we haven't touched on that you were really wanting to share with everyone?
I'm looking forward to having family visit as the current tenant is transitioning out. There's going to be a time of it being available. And I'm just wanting to see what the Lord will do with that if I do have family come over. Yeah, so I'm just committing that to the Lord if there's an opportunity for family members to come by and hang out. My mom was able to visit along with my brother for her 80th birthday. I'm hoping that I can get my sister and my brother-in-law here, and they're going to be empty nesters. So I don't know if it's an opportunity for more family of mine to move here. I don't have any family here, so it's kind of nice to have
Yeah.
family here.
Have a space for them to come visit.
I'm good.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for
Yay.
sharing today.
My
You're
pleasure.
welcome.